UNTV News and Rescue Command Center. This is Y News with Angelo Castro III, Gerry Alcantara, and Darlene Basingan.
Good evening. A group of mining companies say there are multi-billion-dollar mining projects in the country that are still pending. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
The Chamber of Mines of the Philippines is asking the Philippine government to help them nourish the mining industry in the country. This is after the audit report of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources recommended the suspension of 20 mining sites. But prior to DENR's announcement, there were already 10 mining operations that had been suspended. The group said some of the violations found on their members' mines cannot really be attributed to them.
There were also studies done by the UP Geology Institute which said na the majority of the siltation happening in Zambales is naturally occurring. Meaning, with or without mining in the area, magkakaroon ng siltation dahil grabe ang illegal logging sa area. Talagang denuded yung lugar.
The Philippines is the top exporter of nickel for China, and it might be affected if the suspension will be implemented. Metal mining contributes about 6 billion pesos to Philippine economy every year and a share of about 250,000 direct employments. The Chamber of Mines also said that there are 8 mining projects worth $20 billion that are now pending due to the moratorium implemented by the government since 2010.
Lahat naaral na. Hindi na lang makaprogress sa next step dahil ayaw pirmahan ng gobyerno.
The DENR is now considering revisions to the taxation scheme of the mining industry.
The sad reality is 82% of net income goes to the mining company. That's the law. What is our benefit here? And then 18%, only 1/8 goes to the government.
Gusto nyo mag 50-50 tayo on net profit. Such that pag may kita, o di hati tayo. Kung kumita tayo ng 20 pesos ngayon, tig 10 tayo. Pero pag bagsak ang presyo, lugi kami, 0 kayo. There's that risk. Oo. Ayaw ni gobyerno yun.
Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Department of Transportation, Metro Pacific Corporation, and SM Prime Holdings and other stakeholders have signed an agreement for the building of a LRT-MRT common station. The common station is set to be built between the two huge malls on North Avenue, EDSA. The department believes more than 40,000 passengers per hour will benefit from the project because it will connect the LRT 1 and MRT 3 and 7. As of now, the DOTR has yet to finalize the design of the project, the overall budget for it, and those in charge of the budget. The members of the Government Peace Panel and the representatives of the National Democratic Front are continuously crafting the provisions of the draft bilateral ceasefire agreement, which will be discussed in Oslo, Norway next month. Victor Cosari will tell us why.
We came here to ask them as to what the real situation sa ground.
Government Peace Panel member Hernani Braganza had a meeting with the officials of the Armed Forces of the Philippines and the Philippine National Police in Eastern Mindanao as part of the consultation process while a bilateral ceasefire agreement with a rebel group is being crafted. According to Braganza, a bilateral agreement is still needed despite the unilateral ceasefire declared by both the government and the Communist Party of the Philippines to stop violence and prevent it from delaying the peace talks. Under the joint agreement, the mechanism of the ceasefire will be made clear as well as the things to consider in case of a violation.
Even government every day is receiving mga incidents of supposedly or we think to be violations of this particular unilateral ceasefire, but we're not coming out in the media. We'd rather, di ba, na pour gasoline into the fire because we are in the critical stage of crafting a bilateral agreement. Once the violations are defined, it's easier to talk yung both ceasefire committees to agree whether it's a violation or not.
Braganza says they are hoping that both parties will be able to come up with a common draft on the bilateral ceasefire, which they hope will be discussed during the resumption of the peace talks in Oslo, Norway next month. However, according to the Eastern Mindanao Command of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, the new People's Army continuously recruits members in the eastern part of Mindanao despite the declaration of the unilateral ceasefire.
Troops are conducting peace and development outreach program, sabi ko nga, and these are nagiging deterrent sa kanila kasi we were able to facilitate yung services and clarify issues that are being used in the recruitment ng mga NPAs.
Victor Cosare, UNTV News and Rescue, Davao City.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines has conducted an inventory of all issued firearms in its units. The result of the accounting reveals that not all of the firearms recovered by the police were issued to the AFP. General Visaya has directed all intelligence units of the AFP to continue their investigation to help the PNP determine where the confiscated ammunitions were issued. Meanwhile, the government arsenal initiated the acquisition of a laser marking to establish traceability of every round of ammunitions being manufactured in the agency. AFP Public Affairs Office Chief Marine Colonel Edgard Arevalo declares that the AFP will leave no stone unturned in this investigation and assures that these unscrupulous acts will be stopped.
The Philippine National Police urges celebrities using and selling illegal drugs to surrender at the soonest possible time. Grace Casin will tell us why.
The Philippine National Police assures that no special treatment will be given to celebrities suspected of involvement in illegal drug activities based on their narco list. That is why the Quezon City Police District is calling the attention of all celebrities using and selling drugs to immediately surrender because the police will be conducting operations to arrest them.
It could be warrantless arrest through bypass operation or through the application and implementation of search warrants.
After her arrest, former sexy actress Sabrina M. named some celebrities also involved in illegal drugs, but the PNP assures that they will validate the list first before conducting an operation.
Meron tayong nakuha mga relevant information as to that will help us in this campaign against illegal drugs, in particular sa ating mga celebrities.
Meanwhile, the National Capital Region Police Office says the crime rate against properties in Metro Manila dropped by 76% a few days before the 100 days of President Duterte.
Yung TEP natin ngayon, halos nagsisiro tayo na data o record. Yung TEP natin ngayon, yung mga shoplifting na lang.
The DILG today launched the Masa Masid or Mamamayang Ayaw sa Anomalya at Mamamayang Ayaw sa Illegal na Droga. This aims to encourage the community to voluntarily help authorities in their combat against illegal drugs and anomalies. Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Next in Y News. Visitations at the new Bilibid prison is now suspended after a high-profile inmate was killed and 3 others wounded in a riot this morning.
Senator Laila De Lima denies her link to the riot in the new Bilibid prison.
A joint resolution has been filed today urging the Senate to investigate on the brawl that happened inside the National Penitentiary.
Y News will be right back. Moderate to heavy traffic is experienced in some areas in Metro Manila this evening. Mon Oxon is at PhilAmEd sa Quezon City to tell us why, live. Go ahead, Mon.
Good evening, Diego. Floods in some roads in Metro Manila have already subsided and all major roads are passable to all kinds of vehicles. Let's check the traffic situation here in EDSA Philam. Motorists making a U-turn in Quezon Avenue will experience moderate traffic starting in front of Philippine Women's University, while vehicles going north from Quezon Avenue will experience moderate to heavy traffic starting from Trinoma up to Muñoz area. Let us check the traffic situation from our live points from around Metro Manila. In Baclaran Ross Boulevard, all vehicles from Baclaran going to Manila will experience light to moderate traffic as of this moment, while vehicles from Baclaran going to coastal area will experience moderate to heavy traffic. Let us check the situation in EDSA Guadalupe. Vehicles coming from Guadalupe to Shaw Boulevard will experience moderate to heavy traffic starting from Ayala and Buendia in Makati, while motorists from Orense going to Ayala will experience moderate to heavy traffic starting from EDSA Shaw in Mandaluyong up to Magallanes area in Makati. Let's go to EDSA Balintawak. Motorists going to Balintawak from Muñoz will experience heavy traffic starting from North Avenue, while motorists will not encounter any problem from Balintawak to Muñoz as of this moment. Reminders to all motorists, number coding is implemented starting again tomorrow, starting from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. All vehicles with plate numbers ending in numbers 7 and 8 is prohibited in all major roads in Metro Manila. And that's our traffic update. Back to you, Jag.
Thank you for that report. Mon Hokson reporting live from Philam EDSA, Quezon City. President Rodrigo Duterte faces a busy schedule in his two-day official visit in Vietnam. RJ Timoteo is at Hanoi, Vietnam to tell us why live. Yes, RJ.
Any moment now, President Rodrigo Duterte is expected to arrive here at Intercontinental Hotel Hanoi to meet with the Filipino people community as part of his two-day working visit here in Vietnam. At 4 p.m. this afternoon, President Duterte arrived at Noi Bai International Airport via Philippine Airlines. Hanoi is an hour behind Manila local time. Any moment, the President is to begin his meeting with members of the 3,800-strong Filipino community who had traveled to Hanoi to see the President. The meeting is also part of his effort to further strengthen the relation between the citizens of the two countries. Tomorrow, the President is expected to hold official meetings with top Vietnamese officials, including Prime Minister Nguyen Xuan Phuc. After that, he will be flying to Ho Chi Minh City to take part in the wreath-laying ceremony at the Monument of the National Hero. Later in the afternoon tomorrow, he is also expected to meet Vietnamese State President Tran Dai Quang to be followed by the official welcome for the visiting Philippine leader at the State Palace. This afternoon, our kababayans expressed their excitement in seeing the President. Most of them are expecting to hear from the President the programs of the government that concerns the overseas Filipino worker. Also among those who the President is expected to meet is the General Secretary of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Vietnam, Nguyen Phu Trong, by tomorrow afternoon. As of this moment, the President has just arrived here at the venue to meet our kababayans who are so excited to meet our President. That's the latest here in Hanoi, Vietnam. RJ Timoteo for UNTV News and Rescue. Back to you.
Thank you for that report, RJ Timoteo, reporting live from Hanoi, Vietnam. Authorities ordered the suspension of visitations to the inmates at the New Bilibid prison. Roderick Mendoza will tell us why.
Visitations to inmates at the Building 14 of the New Bilibid Prison or NBP's maximum security compound has been temporarily suspended. Authorities say this was after a riot erupted inside Building 14 where high-profile inmates are held. Killed in what NBP officials call a rumble was convicted drug lord Tony Ko. 3 others were wounded, including another convicted drug lord JB Sebastian and other Chinese inmates Peter Ko and Vicente C. Also injured was former police Clarence Dungail. Initial investigation reveals that Peter Ko, Vicente C. and Tony Ko were caught in a pot session by another inmate named Edgar Cinco who reported it to Dungail. Dongail reportedly called out the group for using illegal drugs.
Itong si Cinco at saka si Tunico, magkatabi ng higaan eh. Ayun, sinumbungan niya kay Dongail, and Dongail talk to them. Wag naman nilang gagawin yun dahil mapapahamak sila lahat pagka nalamang may mga nangyayari pa gano'n.
Sebastian's Commando Gang and Dongail's Batang City Jail clashed for about a minute. An ice pick was used in the riot that later resulted in the death of Tonico.
Na nag-iiringan itong dalawang grupo. Siguro yung ongoing investigation sa house.
Authorities are still determining the root cause of the incident. Meanwhile, Bucor admits that the Special Action Force has yet to get rid of illegal drugs inside the entire Building 14 where 38 high-profile inmates are being held. Roderick Mendoza, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Senator Laila de Lima denies being involved in the riot that erupted inside the New Bilibid prison earlier today. Joyce Balancho will tell us why.
Hulihin niyo na ako ngayon! Kung yan naman talaga gusto niyo, ikulong niyo na ako ngayon! I'm here! Do what you want to me, Mr. President. I'll wait for you.
Senator Laila de Lima was bursting with anger when she faced the members of the media at a press conference today. This after she heard the news that she is being linked to the riot that erupted inside the Building 14 of the New Bilibid prison. De Lima said it is impossible that illegal drugs and contrabands can still get inside the highly guarded compound inside the NBP.
Tanga naman natin na maniniwala tayo sa mga ganyang istorya. Bilibid 14 is supposed to be the most guarded facility now. Nandyan yung mga staff. Tapos gagawa ng istoryang ganyan na nagsasyabu kaya nagkarayot.
De Lima said the inmates were particularly targeted because they are the ones who refused to testify against her.
Maybe kahit mga drug convicts yan, marunong pa rin naman makonsyensya siguro. Kasi nga ayaw nga umarap, ayaw nga mag-testify, ayaw nga mag-execute ng sinumpaang salaysay. Katulad nung iba.
The lady senator also disclosed a text message allegedly from the wife of J.B. Sebastian that was forwarded to her by a source. In the message, Sebastian's wife appears to be giving blessing to her husband to testify against De Lima, which she says is against their principle. Senator De Lima also said President Duterte's apology to Pangasinan Representative Amado Espino and those who he wrongly accused in the drug matrix shows that all evidence put up against her are all fabricated. The lady senator begged the president to stop their demolition plans against her. Apart from her family, the senator said her former staff and even colleagues are now being dragged into the issue.
Tama na po! In your desperation, Pangulo, para siraan niyo ako, hindi niyo na iniisip kung ano na yung nagiging itsura niyo sa mata ng bayan at saka sa mundo. Kayo na po ang pinagtatawanan. Hindi po ako.
Joyce Balancho, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
Senator Laila de Lima may be right about J.B. Sebastian being an asset as a new witness bears the connection between de Lima and Sebastian. Roderick Mendoza will tell us why.
Sino mga susunod nilang gagawa ng kwento?
In refuting a seemingly hysterical Senator Laila de Lima, the Department of Justice presented the letter of a new witness. De Lima was claiming that evidence against her are fabricated. Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre reads a portion of the letter sent to President Duterte last month by a witness who is known only for his code name Alpha. It was also bared in the letter how high-profile inmate J.B. Sebastian was able to develop close ties with De Lima, whom he calls his friend. De Lima has earlier said Sebastian is a government asset. But according to alias Alpha, the truth is it was Sebastian who convinced De Lima to make him an asset at the expense of big-time drug lord Peter Co. Sebastian also brags about his close ties with former Bucor director Franklin Bucayo and De Lima, who he claims to be texting him regularly. Alias Alpha, who claims to be close to Sebastian, will be presented as the Congress resumes its inquiry next week.
Ginagawa ko lamang bilang Secretary of Justice ang pag-imbestiga sa iyo, sapagkat sa aking paniniwala ay sobra-sobrang ebidensya na ikay nakinabang sa illegal na droga sa Bilibid. Kaya't yan ang sagutin mo. Do not be hysterical. Masyado kang yak-yak na wala namang sinasabi. Alam mo, pag ang ganun ang tao, nawawala na sa katuwiran eh.
Aguirre also refuted De Lima's allegation that the government staged the Bilibid riot to coerce the high-profile inmates to testify against her.
We want JB alive than dead. Sinong gustong patayin si JB? Hindi ba pag namatay si JB, sinong mabe-benefit? Hindi ba si De Lima? Kasi mawawala ng connect sa kanya na magte-testify.
Roderick Mendoza, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
President Rodrigo Duterte stands by the credibility of his narco list. Rosalie Coz will tell us why.
President Rodrigo Duterte admitted he has many faults in life, including the inappropriate inclusion of the names of 3 local government officials in his drug matrix. This is the reason he made a public apology thrice regarding this issue.
As a lawyer, when you make public a certain wrong against a person, you'd have effectively destroyed his reputation. So kaya, fair is fair. Wala naman akong kung nagkamali ako. Marami akong pagkakamali sa buhay.
However, he still stands by the other information he has released to the public. This is why President Duterte promised he will make his final narco list public when he returns to the country from Vietnam.
Pagbalik ko, I will have one session with the media and I will read. This would be again about the judges, some congressmen, mayors, marami, barangay captains, halos lahat, and the police. Military, 1 or 2.
Meanwhile, President Duterte flew to Vietnam today. The official visit aims to intensify the bilateral relation of the Philippines and Vietnam with regards to maritime security, law enforcement operations, as well as the eradication of illegal drugs. Aside from this, the 2 countries will also talk about the partnership in trade, agriculture, and economic ties. Rosalie Coz, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
The lawyer of the high-profile inmate JB Sebastian asserts that chaos did not ensue and the inmates Peter Ko, Tony Ko, and Vicente C. were not engaged in a pot session before the riot at the New Bilibid prison broke out. Rosalie Coz is back to tell us why.
The inmates were only watching TV at the mess hall at Building 14, the maximum security compound at New Bilibid Prison, when the group of JB Sebastian was suddenly stabbed. According to Sebastian's lawyer, attorney Eduardo Arriba, this is contrary to what the Bucor officials report that the said high-profile inmates were caught using drugs and were tried to be restrained by other inmates.
Mali yun. Walang ganong insidente.
Kapwa inmate ang umatake?
Of course, inside the Building 14. Sila lang din. Nasa Misol sila, nanonood ng TV eh.
Based on the findings of the doctors in Muntinlupa Medical Center, JB and Peter have obtained ice pick stabs near the heart and other parts of their bodies, and Tony Ko was severely stabbed a number of times.
Tony Ko has a multiple puncture wound, abdomen and chest. He didn't arrive back. GB suffered multiple punctured wound also on the chest and right and left and at the back. He suffered from a pneumohemothorax. So he was rushed immediately to the operating room for surgery. He is stable. He's at the recovery room right now. Peter Ko also suffered from multiple stab wound also in the chest and suffered also pneumohemothorax. Vicente C. Multiple punctured wound left posterior chest and flank. There is no surgery required for Vicente C.
The said inmate did not have to be transferred to the other hospital since their condition became stable and they just need 5 days to recover.
Transfer? No more. We can manage it there.
Attorney Arriba appeals that even though the condition of his client is stable, he asked for him to be transferred to the Asian hospital.
Dumaan kami sa tamang proseso kasi alam nyo naman na inmate ito. So we have to go through the process. At subject yan ng approval, of course, ng Bureau of Corrections and finally, ng Department of Justice.
Authorities are now implementing tight security within the vicinity of the Muntinlupa Medical Center, where they deploy a significant number of Special Action Force to guard the inmates. Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Senator Laila De Lima and Senator Antonio Trillanes IV have filed a joint resolution urging the Senate to investigate on the brawl that happened between inmates inside the New Bilibid prison. Joyce Balancho tells us why.
A resolution has been filed today urging the Senate to conduct an investigation on the alleged mismanagement or incompetence of authorities handling the New Bilibid prisons. This is in light of the riot that erupted early today between inmates housed inside the Building 14 of the NBP that led to the death of Tony Ko and the injury of JB Sebastian, Peter Ko, and Vincent C. Senator Laila De Lima and Senator Antonio Trillanes IV, who are the authors of the joint resolution, want to see how legislation can prevent the similar incidents from happening again.
Para magkaalaman na, both sides are claiming different things, so patawag natin para malaman natin.
In the resolution, the senators highlighted that despite the Special Action Force or SAF taking over the prisons, inmates still managed to take inside weapons and illegal drugs. They said the event allegedly showed that SAF failed to prevent violence among inmates. Senator Panfilo Lacson also believes there should be an investigation on the matter.
Di ba si Secretary Aguirre was bragging about the difference between the Bilibid now and Bilibid before, di ba? He was too vocal about it during the second hearing. So ano ngayon, bakit may shabu pa pala doon sa may panaksak? Hindi naman kayang i-correct yun overnight, ano? But the fact remains na may nakakapasok na contraband items. Yun ang dapat tingnan nila. More than yung kung sino yung pinagsimula ng pagsaksak o pananaksak.
The resolution also wants to look into the allegations by Senator Laila De Lima that some inmates were taken for overnight interrogation sessions to force them to fabricate stories against the lady senator. Since the resolution was filed late today, it was not part of the agenda of the plenary session and was not yet directed to the proper committee. Joyce Balancho, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
The House Committee on Justice insists on presenting JB Sebastian at the resumption of the investigation on the alleged illegal drug trade inside the National Penitentiary. Nel Maribuhok tells us why.
The chairman of the House Committee on Justice insists on presenting high-profile inmate JB Sebastian at the hearing of the alleged National Bilibid drug operations despite the injury he attained after the stabbing incident this morning at the National Penitentiary.
Ano ba yung injury niya? Kung hindi naman debilitating yon, he must appear. Kung debilitating, I mean, he cannot really come, then probably we can spare him for the next hearing.
The committee will resume its investigation on Bilibid drug trade on October 5, hoping Sebastian will be present. House Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez says, if necessary, he will allow the presentation of alleged private video of De Lima and his former driver Ronnie Dayan, who is also suspected to be involved in illegal drugs trade.
Well, kung kinakailangan dahil para yun ang mag-uugnay kung talagang merong personal relationship, kung ayaw naman ni Senator De Lima na mag-appear dito sa House of Representatives, so let the people, let the public judge kung talagang totoo yung videotape na yan, yung sex videotape na yan.
On the NBP stabbing incident, the House Speaker believes that it may possibly be connected to the ongoing House probe on the Bilibid drugs operation.
Well, that is sad, no? Because apparently, there are forces na ayaw na mag-testify, no? Yung si JV Sebastian, and tignan natin yung motibo kung sino yung ayaw na malaman siguro yung katotohanan. Kasi bakit naman of all those years bakit ngayon lang sila magpapatayan dyan sa at targeted pa yung intended resource person, no, na announce nung Committee on Justice.
The House leadership has no plans yet of including the NBP stabbing incident in the investigation. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
A suspected hemangioma patient is grateful to UNTV's Serbisyong Kasangbahay. Ray Pelayo tells us why.
24-year-old Elvin Isaac has sought the help of UNTV's Serbisyong Kasangbahay. Because of the usually large mole on his cheek, Elvin has always been too shy to face people.
Sa ngayon, ma'am, wala po akong trabaho dahil nahiya rin po ako mayroon sa tao dahil sa nunal mo? Yes, ma'am. Kasi hindi siya karaniwang nunal lang.
Masakit pa?
Yes, ma'am.
The Serbisyong Kasangbahay medical team accompanied Elvin to the Luminous Holistic Skin Innovation Clinic. Dermatologist and segment host of the program Doctors on TV, Dr. Casey Reyes, says the growing mole on Elvis' cheek might be due to the hemangioma or the abnormal formation of blood vessels. It is usually found on the skin and even on internal organs like liver.
Kasi makikita niyo po, nababawasan po yung color upon palpation. Pero pag dito po, we really need to do biopsy. Check po natin dito is the symmetry. This one, it's symmetrical. Wala pong asymmetry. So usually pag may asymmetry, i-rule out natin ang cancer, skin cancer. And then makikita niyo po yung border. Regular naman yung border niya. Tas yung color, hindi variegated. Ibig sabihin, hindi iba't iba yung color niya, uniform.
After the assessment, the patient has undergone minor surgery and shave biopsy procedure.
Salamat po sa Diyos na siya po ang bumabay sa akin para matanggal po yung problema ko, at sa mga staff po, kay Kuya Daniel Rason sa programa niya na Serbisyong Kasangbahay sa UNTV.
Ray Pelayo for Serbisyong Kasangbahay.
Coming up, widespread blackout covers Adelaide in South Australia ahead of a massive storm.
Doctors warn against the collapsing health system in the conflict-stricken Aleppo in Syria. And archaeologists preserve pre-Columbian tombs in Guatemala, which could help reveal political changes in their time.
More from Y News after this break. The southwest monsoon is continuously affecting Luzon and western Visayas. The Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration, or PAGASA, says moderate to occasionally heavy rains that may trigger flash floods and landslides will be experienced in Metro Manila, Central Luzon, Calabarzon, and the province of Mindoro. The rest of Luzon and western Visayas will experience light to moderate rains, while isolated rain showers and thunderstorms will prevail over the rest of the country. Meanwhile, a tropical cyclone internationally named Chaba was located at 2,550 kilometers east of Luzon. It is packed with maximum sustained winds of 75 kilometers per hour and gustiness of 95 kilometers per hour, while moving westward at 22 kilometers per hour. The cyclone is expected to enter the Philippine Area of Responsibility, or PAR, by Saturday. but may not hit or make landfall in the Philippines. Widespread blackout covers Adelaide in South Australia. Nina Bascon is at Australia to tell us why, live. Yes, Nina.
Diego, severe storms and thousands of lightning strikes knocked out power to the entire state of South Australia today ahead of a cyclone. The state has been brought to standstill with ports closed, trains and trams stopped, traffic lights out, and long commuter delays, according to state agencies. The Bureau of Meteorology said a vigorous cold front was moving across the state with an intense low-pressure system due on Thursday or tomorrow, the 29th of September. State network provider SA Power Network said repairs to its transmission network are underway. So far, South Australia was relying on accessing power from East Coast via a power interconnector with the neighboring state of Victoria. Worsening conditions, however, are due to arrive overnight and into Thursday morning. The cyclone will bring strong to gale force winds of up to 120 kilometers per hour on the coast and exposed areas, along the severe showers and thunderstorms. Locations forecast to be particularly at risk include Seduna, Coober Pedy, Woodina, Woomera, the Nullarbor, and Tarcoola. But there is a chance of the system could drop south and affect Adelaide as well. A flood watch is in place for the Mid-North, Mount Lofty Ranges, and Adelaide metropolitan districts due to possible burst of rivers and creeks. According to forecast, winds and rain have already hit the city and expected to continue overnight. Thus, residents in affected areas are advised to move safely. By tomorrow, Diego, we will coordinate with the Philippine Embassy in Canberra to update on the condition of Filipinos in affected areas. That's the latest update here in Australia. Back to you, Diego.
Thank you for that report. Nina Bascon reporting live from Australia.
Doctors have warned that the health system and hospitals in the besieged eastern part of the city of Aleppo are working at maximum capacity, lacking staff and supplies, and facing numerous shortages. Because of systematic attacks on health facilities and health workers, there are only 8 hospitals and 30 doctors left in eastern Aleppo, where an estimated 250,000 to 270,000 people are trapped. Only 1 obstetrician and 2 pediatricians are left to treat pregnant women and children.
Most of cases are trauma cases. Many of them need fixation. External fixators are absent at all inside the city. If this is continue, we are going to the point of zero, where there is no facilities to be protected, where there are no health staff to be protected also.
Drones capture the extent of destruction in eastern Aleppo, leading many to think life could no longer be possible in the city. Wong Duquesa will tell us why.
Drone footage shows extensive damage in eastern Aleppo since the breakdown of a ceasefire in Syria last week. The footage shows collapsed buildings near deserted streets and enormous water-filled craters. The one-week truce in the country ended last Monday, September 19, when an aid convoy was hit by an airstrike. Since then, rebel-held eastern Aleppo has come under heavy bombardment. Some 250,000 civilians remain trapped in the besieged, opposition-held sector of Syria's biggest city. Hundreds of people, including dozens of children, had been reported killed since last Thursday by an onslaught that includes bunker-busting bombs that bring down whole buildings. The Syrian government offensive to recapture all of Aleppo has been accompanied by bombing that residents describe as unprecedented in its ferocity. In a tense confrontation at the United Nations over the weekend, the United States called Russia's bombing in support of Assad's barbarism and said Russia was killing civilians, medical staff, and aid workers. Bong Duquesa, UNTV News and Rescue, Middle East.
The House of Representatives Solons prepares for its match against the Bureau of Customs Transformers as the team targets to clinch the lead in Group B. Bernard Dadis will tell us why.
Para kay Adriano, pull-up jumper, it's too open. Many years after he has retired from the Pro League, Edgar Billones. Whoa!
The House of Representatives Solons prepare for their next ball game against the Bureau of Customs Transformers as the team aims to clinch the lead in Group B. At present, the HOR Solons and the BOC Transformers both lead in Group B with a clean 2-win record. The Solons successfully claimed their second consecutive win last Sunday against the GSIS Furies at the University of Makati Gymnasium. The HOR was led by Egay Billones with 31 points, Kiko Adriano with 29 points, and Erwin Santamaria with 17 points and 7 rebounds. The HOR Solons aim to surpass its team records in previous seasons and finally advance to the finals.
Masaya kami dahil for the first time sa simula nung kami sumali, nakadalawang sunod kami ngayon ng panalo. And hope so na dire-diretso ito.
It can be recalled that in Season 4, the Solons failed to make it to the second round eliminations and finished only at 11th place with 1 win and 4 losses. This season, despite the difficulties in schedule and their once-a-week practice, the players of HOR work hard to give their best in every game.
Kita naman ninyo kung gaano nagsasakripisyo yung mga players, and even kami nagiging mga bench warmer, naroon yung suporta namin moral sa aming mga kasamahan doon sa loob dahil kailangan namin iangat yung moral nila at kita rin naman namin yung pagpapagod nila.
Aggressive lang yung mga players namin, no? Even yung mga congressman na naglaro, talagang aggressive din sila. Talagang gusto rin nila talagang manalo. Same time, pero maganda yung dinipensa namin and offense namin. Yun, nakikita namin advantage at saka nag-click yung mga players namin.
The Solons and the Transformers are leading in Group B while the GSIS Furies and the DOJ Justice Boosters are at the bottom with their record of 2 losses and 0 win. Their upcoming match in the first round eliminations of the UNTV Cup Season 5 will be on October 9 at the Pasig City Sports Center. Bernard Dadis for UNTV Cup Season 5.
Archaeologists discover pre-Columbian tombs in Guatemala which could shed light on conflicts in the Mayan civilization. Grace Casin tells us why.
Archaeologists said on Monday, September 26, they hope 2 tombs and monument uncovered in Piran will shed light on the clash between 2 kingdoms located in the Maya lowlands during the classic period between 250 to 900 AD. Since the year 2000, archaeologist Francisco Estrada Belli, who directs the Holmul Archaeological Project, and his team have protected the site, the classic Maya city of Holmul, employing 4 park rangers to guard the site 24/7 from looters. As a result, the structures at Holmul are among the best preserved in the Maya region.
Y yo me atrevería a decir que con el descubrimiento de este año, la estructura 1 de la Chotal es uno de los edificios preclásicos mejor conservados de toda la región maya.
Kaanul and Tikal, 2 great kingdoms from between 650 and 700 TC, compete with each other for control and resources and adjoining cities. This finding hopes to shed light on the political changes that occurred at that time. In another tomb, the remains of a middle-aged person was found, accompanied by various vessels and jade ornaments. A jade necklace would be a war trophy. The project helps the archaeologists to investigate the rise and fall of the lowland Maya civilization.
This is very important because it helps explain the relationship between these large and small kingdoms in the Maya lowlands and the existence of an empire.
The Maya built soaring temples and elaborate places in Central America and southern Mexico, dominating the region for some 2,000 years before mysteriously abandoning their cities around 900 AD. Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Some cast of Isang Araw, the movie Part 3, share their extraordinary experiences behind the scenes. Brian Evangelista will tell us why.
As the camera continues to roll for the second day of shooting of Isang Araw the Movie Part 3, some of the cast shared their light moments on the set, which they found quite different from what they commonly experience in their previous movies.
Medyo kakaiba kasi pag sa ibang I've been through
parang mga talagang from the best to the worst talaga na crews and staff na talagang and directors. Marami na rin akong napagtrabahuhan yan. Talagang pag na-late ka lang, ay nako, hindi ganyan. Di ba? Nagkamali kang konti. Ano ba yan? Dito talaga parang, okay, one more lang.
Jana Trias is a stand-up comedian and character actress who plays the role of Kuya Daniel's housemaid.
The ambience is so parang overwhelming, wonderful feeling. Kasi parang lang kami nagbabakasyon. Maya't maya kain, may food dito, mamaya may darating na naman na food, may darating na naman na food. Alam mo yung gano'n. Tapos relax. And lahat parang puro sobrang magalang They're all very nice.
Teen star Marlo Mortel enjoyed the company of his co-stars and felt at home in the set.
Parang nasa bahay ka lang kasi very welcoming lahat ng tao. Magaan lang yung set, hindi mabigat. Tapos, sobrang lahat, basta parang baby ka dito. Masaya, masarap minsan ito yung mga artista kasama dito. Very, din sila, accommodating, mabait. So, parang hindi ka maka-OP, maiilang. Wala. Perfect yung set.
Meanwhile, action star Jess Lapid couldn't explain the exhilaration he feels while participating for the second time in Kuya Daniel's advocacy film.
Napakasarap ng feeling nung makasama ka sa ganitong klaseng pelikula. Dahil parang para sa akin, parang oras-oras ako nagdadasal. Parang ganun. Ewan ko, tama ba? Oo. Parang ganun.
Bakit niyo wala sabi?
Hindi ko maintindihan.
So do not miss this sequel of Isang Araw and experience for yourself the life-changing power of this film.
Abangan niyo po Isang Araw. Tandaan niyo po lahat ng ginagawa ni Kuya Daniel para po sa inyong lahat. Lahat po ng ginagawa namin ay para po kay Kuya Daniel, para din po sa inyong lahat. Salamat sa Diyos.
Brian Evangelista, UNTV News and Rescue, Tagaytay.
Those are the reasons behind the news, September 28, 2016. I'm Angelo Castro III.
Reasons we delivered to you as they unfold. I'm Gerry Alcantara.
And I'm Darlene Basingan, because we need to know.
We will always ask why. Thank you for watching. Why News.